A very good afternoon to one and all present over here. At the very outset, I would like to thank my mentor, Professor V.S.N. sir, for giving me this golden opportunity to present the basics of geriatric house call, and also the MMC Pharmaceuticals for sponsoring the occasion. And last but not the least, our very own foundation, V.S.N. Geriatric Foundation, which is supporting each and every person who's entering into this arena. So with this short introduction, we'll go to the home-based geriatric house care, and this is how our model works. And I request a lot of clinical photos are used, so you can avoid taking photographs, but you can register in your mind much. So I'll be as simple as possible to get in on the subject. Thank you. This is our center from where we come from. And this is the first time when V.S.N. Natarajan sir gave me an opportunity to present a poster presentation in the year 2013 for Gericon. And next. So this is our small numbers. So this is very important. So you need a person to drive the force. A physician should be there to drive the force. And even though you don't have direct specialists working on the field, but you need some specialist care, like you need a surgeon support, you need a end specialty support like ophthalmologist, a ENT surgeon, because at least to ask opinion, because whenever you come across a diagnosis, the family will be put into a small decision making subject. Whether my father is fit for doing this procedure, be it an inguinal hernia at 84 years, whether he is fit to go under the procedure, we might not be in a position to give the physical fitness. Probably we might look in his basic blood routine, we might look his echo, we might look his ECG, we might look his ultrasonogram, but we need a surgeon's concurrence also, whether he is able to do the surgery for the patient, whether it is apt and useful. So we need some specialist support either over telemedicine or over in person. And we need a lot of nursing assistants. They are the Florence Nightingales of the unit, because without nursing support, the telemedicine or geriatric house call project may not be a successful one. You need a very good logistic support, be it two-wheelers or be it cars or be it ambulance, but you need a good structure to deliver more home health care. And now every smartphone is available with everyone, almost everyone. It need not be available with the patients or the patients' attenders, but the home health care staff, they need to have a smartphone so that they can communicate everything, because ECG or already previous records is very important in a geriatric house call project, because patients might be having files and files. So you need to concise, the person going and visiting the patient there need to concise the report, and suppose a physician is sitting elsewhere or a physician is going there, we need to have a smartphone, and WhatsApp is definitely an excellent tool to help that. And we definitely need a telecalling support, because doctors and nurses cannot be informing the attenders whether where we are right now, whether we are proceeding towards your home. A telecaller will be very helpful, that our team is right now at Anna Nagar, next visit they will be doing at Coimbatore, so be prepared, because all the children might be working or they might be also elderly. Either they might be at their 40s and 50s working elsewhere for their livelihood. If we inform earlier, they might come, or if their elderly children are there, they might be prepared. And we need a pharmacy to support the program. At this juncture, I would like to welcome Dr. Muthukumar sir, who is the director of the very famous Parvati Hospital unit at Coimbatore. We extend a warm welcome to you, sir, on behalf of our V.S. Natarajan Geriatric Foundation. And we need a giant pharmacy, or at least a moderate unit pharmacy, to support our drugs, and we need a storeroom to do all these things, and we need a grief supporter also, because there will be a lot of death news and bad news. So breaking a bad news itself is a very big art, and it needs a lot of compassionate way. So preparing the children and wards even before the grief occurs is a very important tool. Next. So this is our model, just how it works. Telemedicine, doctor visits are scheduled. Nurses follow up for dressings, investigations, home x-rays, treatments, tele-follow up. And we also audit our outcome, whether it is good or moderate, or sometimes we call it bad when it is death. Next. So after a house call, once a physician, we will be going into the diagnosis later, but at a brief outset, once a house call is done, you come across a diagnosis, probably a fever under evaluation. For example, we will keep a case scenario like that. So once the diagnosis is done, the elderly gentleman may be conscious or may be semi-conscious, may be taking oral feeds or may be refusing feeds, or he might be he might be having some aspirations on eating. So at that juncture, we might be in a position to give the following suggestions. Either they can be asked to, the patient might be asked to get admitted in the nearby hospital, or if you are having your own hospital, you can admit the patient, or if they want, they can be done treatment at the home itself, because everything is now mobile, be it oxygen cylinders, concentrators, the nebulizers, all are now mobile, so you can shift the home care at home. Or there is another option called DNR also. So do not resuscitate, because when you find the patient very much invalid and our treatment might be adding more discomfort to the patient, and the family also is mentally prepared for the soul to get departed, then DNR also can be suggested, and DNR is medico-legally valid and it is not an invalid diagnosis. If opted for home care, getting a consent is very important, maintaining records is important. Suppose you are going to manage, now my interest will not be in telling about what we will do in hospitalization, what we will do in DNR. Now my entire content from here now will be on home management. So once you plan for home management, suppose you want to do an intensive care, you want to give them rice tube feeding, you need to give some nebulizations. We need a semi-fabulous cot, a small mini pharmacy. Essential drugs means deriphyllin, dexamethasone, paracetamol, hydrocortisone, noradrenaline. So some basic amount of essential drugs is essential. Oxygen cylinders or concentrators. In case of sick phase, if patient is responding well, doctor visits, and we need to upgrade the patient. Whenever you come across a sick patient can go in three signs. We will see in the next slide. Next. So this is a hospital model. So where a physician, a consultant visits various hospitals. Suppose he is a specialist, a general surgeon, he might be visiting 4 or 5 hospitals in a neighborhood. Because home health care, several times it is seen as a second-hand treatment, or sometimes it is underestimated, but it is nevertheless underestimated. In a home care model, a physician goes to various houses where the patient is lodged comfortably at the comfort of their home, amidst their children, amidst their own relatives. So it is also a very successful model, gaining importance in leading medical institutions. Next. Now I will just go through some slides, which is very simple. So hope you will remember these things, and I feel now we are not seeing these things, and this is where now home health care also has gone. So we are not seeing home health care in a very fashionable way. So home health care has become almost extinct. Like once we see a Jurassic Park movie, it has become like that, but nowadays it is gaining more importance. So this is now how we see now. Next. And I want to tell a slide, because many physicians ask me how you entered home health care. The model was very simple. I was taking photographs, like the first photograph, preparing for my NEET every year. As usual, I used to fail. I will not also be eligible for the counseling. So I started working as duty medical officers, as certain pharma people might know. And then my movement started once I met Professor VSN in the year 2012, and he guided me to come and attend few Jericons. You come and learn something. And from the year 2013 and 14, I started learning from Jericons, and that's how it started. Next. So a word about managing intensively care patients at home, very sick patients, whether it is scientifically valid. You want to, because you see, come across ICUs, you call about hospital bugs, you tell about the nosocomial infections, being sterile, even the suction catheter has an outer cover, the ventilator has so many gadgets to call it sterile. Whether it is really sterile or whether there is a small study that is done. So there is a paradigm shift in the management of ICU in the West. This is valid, and this is data. There is data on this. So called open model ICU, increasing more visiting time for attenders to prevent ICU psychosis. You know, once the patient is admitted in ICU, we started, the elderly has become restless, he is pulling all the tubes, he is pulling the right tube, he is jumping from the cot. If the diagnosis itself, it is not the patient is deteriorating on his medical condition. He is not seeing the usual near and dear ones that he used to see daily. So that instigates the terminology called ICU psychosis, avoiding more invasive procedures, works from medical and paramedical staff itself. You know the very effective instrument in a hospital is a stethoscope. It is proved it contains lot of bacteria than the bacteria that we can take from a western closet. So that is a shift in discharge criteria. Elderly cannot be, we cannot have a standard discharge criteria. All elders cannot be, because as discharge criteria, when we call a person fit, when he is able to eat, when he is able to walk, so there is a shift in the discharge criteria. All elderly cannot match the same discharge criteria to get discharged from the hospital. Once he is slightly improved, that itself is a such sufficient condition for him to get discharged both from home health care or from a hospital. All these criteria is scientifically boosting our home health care model with a good success rate. So who utilizes the home health care is that through word of mouth, the attendance itself, you have seen my grandfather, my friend's grandfather also needs some treatment, they will refer you. Surgeons, anesthetists may be requiring your home health care for tracheostomy care of the patients. Surgeons might require our care for dressings and diabetic food. Orthos might require our care because several times there is a fracture, but post fracture the surgery is over, but they stick to the bed. Once the patient is not able to walk for the next 2 or 3 weeks, he never walks later. So that is very important. On course for tapping the pleural effusion, ascetic fluid effusion, and adopted children for their own parents and grandparents. Next. So this is how we consider our home health care. So a model should have outpatient management also, because once home health care is successful, the patient might like to come to your OPD. So that we call as a 20/20 match. 50 hours match is what we call, we admit the patient in the ward, and a test match is a long drive, because home health care never ends. At the end is either the patient is successful or unsuccessful. Next. So house call, what are the benefits for the patient on making a house call is that a physician can meet the patient at their own residence, because you see elderly, when they are sitting in the outpatient department, they become restless, they are frustrated either to go to rest room, or the moment their token number is called, they start walking like this, and the other patients who are active, so it is a race with difficult physical ability. So it is very comfortable for the patients to get visited at their home, especially the elderly. So they might not have bladder problems and injury during shifting. Many times the toenails get avulsed, the little toes get affected, the elbows get knocked at the wheelchair stretcher. So those injuries can be avoided, and especially the nosocomial infections also can be avoided. And what are the benefits for a physician in making a house call is that at the home you can comfortably relax, make a single-handed diagnosis. If you are not able to make a diagnosis, no problem, we can refer the patient to a hospital, and while learning also happens hand in hand. Next. So expected peak practice around 2025 and 2030, because there is a stagnancy in the birth and death rates. So elderly, the graying nation, as you all know, the entire world is graying, and there will be more amount of geriatric people who will be lodging in, and leading institutions like the topmost institutions, be it in the private setup or in the government setup, everybody are helping out in the home health care. And of course, all of you might know that cancers are on the rise, so more patients are going to die more early at the 50s and 60s, where they might become bedbound at a very early age. So home health care will be definitely a helping hand. And great mental preparedness by the wards. Now they are very much accepting the home health care model. Next. So what is the basic evaluation that you need to do in a home health care? You need to get an informed consent form. That might be a pre-printed form, need not write it. You can have a pre-printed form, just enter the patient name, son's name, or whoever is present there. That is because we should also have a medical legal way that we should be safe enough to practice. Then you have to record the BP, all the three positions is very important, because orthostatic hypotension is very common in elderly. 1 minute pulse rate is very, very mandatory, because sometimes there might be supraventricular tachycardias or atrial fibrillations where may be missing. SpO2 recording, blood glucose, and always we should look for the conjunctiva. A lot of stories are revealed through the conjunctiva. CVS, we should auscultate. Several times we auscultate in a very simple way, because elderly we get only one opportunity to meet them, because or else we may not be visiting very often, maybe once in a week or once in a month. So the single visit should be utilized much. So we should make a demanding, highly efficient auscultation in seeing that, because murmurs are very common in elderly. Aortic stenosis, because they might present with a complaint of exertional angina or exertional dyspnea, where aortic stenosis may be the underlying problem, which is very common in elderly. Respiratory system, please evaluate their basis. Further, look for the bladder area, always look for the umbilicus. Several times the abdomen is closed area where we might miss a obstructed umbilical hernia or obstructed inguinal hernia, and they might also have a very huge hydrocele, which they might be not revealing in the recent times. CNS, we should look for their walk, we should look for their rigidity, weakness, balance, and always look for their lower limbs. Lower limbs tells a lot of stories like edema, either it can be respiratory cause or a cardiovascular cause, cellulitis, ant bites, intertrigo, very common in elderly. So what are all the emergencies that you might expect in a home health care is, you might expect a fall, very common fall, fever, unresponsiveness but breathing, unresponsiveness completely, different behavior, altered behavior, starting seeing some cartoon activities, seeing some ladies, seeing some young children here and there, different behavior, cancers, lower limb stories. We will go through one by one next. So falls, mostly domestic. Usually they fall while going to a bathroom or coming away from the bathroom. This is the commonest site of a fall. The common fractures that are encountered are the vertebra, wrist, humerus, femur. Assessment whether fit or unfit. If they are fit, please go ahead with surgery. Surgery can make a lot of change in their life. They might become very healthy. They might be back to the ground. They will be very active. If you feel that they are unfit, if Parkinsonism is there, neurological they are very stable, they are very fragile, bone and skins, better to leave them is very good. Many times sometimes the fit patients are not done surgeries due to the family situations. Unfit patients, because of the family's affluence, they are done surgeries. Both are never useful. Next. So fever, we can classify the fever as above the umbilicus and below the umbilicus. This is a common fevers, upper respiratory tract, lower respiratory tract. TB is definitely common in elderly. It is not an eradicated disease. So time and again you will come across TB. Never miss tuberculosis. Meningitis is not much common, but anyway for diagnosis. Below the umbilicus, pyelonephritis, diabetic foot, bed sores are very common. Next. Unresponsiveness but breathing. So they might be they are unresponsive but they are breathing still. So it might be a hypoglycemia, it might be a cardiovascular accident, or it can be a hyponatremia. Next. Unresponsiveness completely, issuing a death certificate is a very good, very Herculean task for every physician. The current guidelines, because one of my friend is a forensic expert, so he says current guidelines, the Supreme Court says that whoever issues the medical certificate, they should be the last physician or the physician who has met them recently. If you want to issue a certificate for an elderly whom you have never met so far, you have never seen them so far, you should need the concurrence of the nearby family relatives, the nearby neighbors, who should be really useful, because elderly are sometimes they undergo several problems, be some physical torture, mental torture, and sometimes they are homicide also happens several times for want of the wealth and money that they have acquired. So we should be very careful, but at the same time you should not stop in giving death certificates. Issuing death certificates will definitely, it's a humanitarian task, will improve your goodwill, and it is a very good, but you have to you have to invest some time in giving that. Without seeing the patient, we should not give. At the same time, if you suspect some foul play, please direct the death certificate to the nearest government hospital. One side, the previous slide. So please look for the past medical records and keep a duplicate copy for you, and always keep a photo evidence. That is very important. Next. Unresponsiveness with breathing. Next. So different behavior, when there is an altered behavior, sometimes it can be because of hypoglycemia, hyponatremia, and several neuropsychiatry drugs can happen the same. Because neuropsychiatry visit, the patient never visits the doctor once in a month or once in 3 months. They will be visiting only once in a year, their attendance might take. So there will be a prescription patient mismatch. The levodopa carbidopa what was prescribed 2 years back might be presenting with a hallucination of cartoons and ladies and young children that they might be presenting with the patients. We will be trying to look for their sodiums, sugars, all will be normal. You will be surprised by just stopping the syndopa for 5 days, stopping the levodopa carbidopa for 5 days, then restarting in a lower regimen will do lot of success, and treating the cause, withdrawing the causing drug slowly. Next. Cancers, what are all the cancers that we come across? Is liver cancers we come across very much, lung cancers, GI malignancy, metastatic cancer. Cancers all what requires is a supportive treatment. So lower limb stories, several times lower limbs might be either very flat or might be swollen. Swelling may be with the pedal level, or it might be at the mid thigh level, or it might be up to the thigh, sometimes even up to the zipisternum. So depending upon that, we can decompensated liver disease, very common. Kindly do an LFT. Altered AG ratio itself is a single standard method to find out there is a decompensated liver, because the patient might be having a volume overload, so that needs treatment. Anemia is very common in elderly. Chronic kidney disease also very common because of diabetes being so rampant. There might be a diabetic kidney disease patient itself. Congestive cardiac failure also is an important diagnosis, because they would have never done an echocardiogram, but you will be surprised on doing an echocardiogram or a simple X-ray, the cardiomegaly will be huge, because we can manage the patients accordingly. So that's why we need to know the lower limb is very important, gives a lot of diagnosis. And the pressure ulcers at the heel, because attendants will say தாத்தா நேத்து வரைக்கும் நல்லா தான் இருந்தார், நடந்து போயிட்டு இருந்தாரு, heel கிட்ட ஒரு பெரிய trophic ulcer if it is present, then that means the tata has not walked for minimum of a week. So because attendants will say a different story, patient story will be different. Next. So this is a house call budget. This alone I will go through the slide, because I just want to show what. So we have studied a population between 61 to 101 years. The minimum was 61, maximum was 101. The average age of male was 80, female 83. Sex distribution, female preponderance was more because females were living longer. That was an observation. Age distribution 80 to 90 years, the major home visits were done. And average time to make a home call at the home requires a minimum of 20 to 60 minutes sometimes. So usually they are either living alone, or their children might live in upstairs or the nearby streets. That is very common. And common fractures was, pelvis was a very common fracture. As Sir would acknowledge, hip fracture was very common. Osteoarthritis and urinary tract infection is very common in elderly. Hypertension, diabetes, and combination of both. Dementia is not very common, but definitely the incidence is there. And suprapubic catheter or Foley's catheter, a normal catheter. Vertigo again is a very common. We might be confused between a vertigo, an accelerated hypertension, or a VBI, vertebrobasilar insufficiency. So we need to distinguish between that. Bed sores also very common, because they might say that the old man is not eating much, so we will be looking from top to bottom. They might be put a small bed sheet or a dhoti, but when you open and see only, that will be a very black huge bed sore. This kind of bed sore, the first image is very common that we might come across. That a dark bed sore is not a healing bed sore. A dark bed sore means there is an underlying lot of pus beneath it. Parkinsonism very common. Bedridden patients of various causes. Right tube patients also you might encounter. So we need to give a right tube care, changing right tube. Sometimes the right tube might be obstructed, or the tip cap might become brittle and broken. COPD patients, carcinoma, and of course you also come and see some happy couples. And you will also see some patients skin and bones like this. And we just want to go through a small, what are the features suggestive of lower respiratory tract infection. You might, so lower respiratory tract very common, either because of the community level the problem might come, or aspirations very common in elderly. So generally when you start a treatment by giving some oral antibiotics like some modified penicillins, you might give some bronchodilators, you might give some anti-inflammatory drugs like paracetamol. So what are all the red flag signs that you see? Because after giving the medicines, the patient is not becoming all right, the red flag signs are decreased urine output, the entire body becomes swollen, and there might be some difficulty in the patient's breathing. So what is a minimal basic support care that you can give at home is a Fowler's cot, right strip feeding, air mattress. Giving air mattress very essential. Catheterization also is essential because for the entire 1 or 2 weeks they might not be walking, so there might be development of bed sores. Chest heart fermentation, that is called previously as diathermy. In TB sanatoriums it was used in the olden days. Diathermy is still very useful. The lower respiratory tract infection, apart from our giving oral antibiotics, giving a very good chest heart fermentation improves the patient, and sometimes they might become sick even after giving this care. Next. So this is our basic previous slide. So the patient might be very ill because by lying in a single prone position, the entire eyelid might be closed. There might be bed sores. Even in the bed sores in the eyelids, the ear, pinna can get infected. So minimal supportive management. It may not be on par with the ICU support given at the hospitals, but some basic medical care. It is like I used to explain our patient. It's like giving a rope for a person who's drowned in the well. So you give a rope. So if he is able to climb, the chances is. If he is not able to climb, then we have to make the patient's attender's family mentally prepared to accept the grief episode. 1 out of 3 patients become alright, 2 out of 3 patients do not become alright. Restless elderly, very common. The common causes are acute urinary retention. There might be 600 to 1800 ml to 2000 ml urine always in the bladder, because either because of prostate or because of the neurodrugs or by any neurogenic cause. The causes might be different, but the problem may be the same. They might have a distended bladder. There can be acute to chronic constipation. Minimum of 2 days to maximum of 10 days there can be constipation. Patient can have an unattended gallbladder. We will see next slide. So this is where it's an acute urinary retention. The urine might be as dark as this, because if you drain a like pale yellow urine, it is a acute retention. This is a chronic retention where the urine has been retention for a very long purpose, but the presenting complaint would be Tata is not taking any feeds. He is simply refusing feeds. But if you go and examine, open the dhoti only, we will see the distended bladder. Next. So unattended gallbladder stone, everybody knows the gallbladder stone comes in the a fat 40 female in the 40s age, but they when come to 80s, the single stone has not made a problem for so many years, but they become bed bound. The small stone, a single stone or multiple stone, comes and sits at the fundus of the gallbladder, and it starts the unknown small cholecystitis. The presenting complaint is the party is becoming now very dull, not taking any feeds. But if you can investigate, do a simple sometimes ultrasonogram, few doctors are helping out in doing home ultrasounds, or if you can shift and take an ultrasound by doing a simple surgery if they are fit, like how we saw in ortho cases, if it is a femur fracture, patient is fit, do a surgery. Similarly, the cholecystitis, there will be no other common pertinent signs of cholecystitis like pain here, pain in the tip of the right shoulder. Those signs will not be present. The present will be the patient is not taking feeds regularly. Next slide. Incomplete bowel obstruction. Commonly patients because of taking many hypertensive drugs with the diuretics, starting from hydrochlorothiazide to spironolactone, they will be in a hypokalemia. They might be in a state of developing hypokalemia. So they might have a mild incomplete bowel obstruction. So they might start vomiting with either coffee brown vomitus or with a regular simple vomitus. Next. Old Parkinsonism patient, I told you about the mismatch of the prescription, because the previous neurophysician would have given the Syndopa or the Levodopa will not be in a match. Next slide. So various signs of Parkinsonism, as you know, it is not a single clinical picture. Various clinical pictures are there, starting from pin rolling movements to the scissoring gait. So variety of signs will be seen, and it can be either with the tremors or with the rigidity, unilateral, bilateral. So this diagnosis alone is not a single clinical diagnosis picture. We need to see more and more patients, then we will come across to know the same. So common, next slide. Old stroke patients also, because the physician would have given a blood thinner, and the pre-existing illness would be atrial fibrillation, but the patient will simply say, I have stopped all those drugs. Eங்க amma soltaanga ella maathre நிறுத்த சொல்லிட்டாங்க, எதுவுமே எனக்கு வேணாம் அப்படின்னு சொல்லிட்டாங்க. the son will say அம்மா வேணாம்னு சொன்னாங்கன்னு சொல்லிடுவாங்க. Then you will come across with the recurrent stroke because the underlying illness would have been atrial fibrillation. They would have stopped both the amiodarone and both clopidogrel and aspirin. So even with the stopping of clopidogrel and aspirin, there would have been no much problem, but stopping the amiodarone would have landed big problem. Next. So next slide. So common cause for stage 4 cancer, it needs only a symptomatic management. Whatever is less, we need to fulfill. Nutrition is less, need to fulfill. Blood is less, need to fulfill. Need a tapping. So it needs only a symptomatic management. Next. So foul smelling discharge from the wound. So this is one of the biggest cause that you might encounter is a bed sores. Because either you might not be in a position to treat, you might not be in a position to leave. The patient's death might be the outcome, but small and simple bed sores can be evaluated and help. Next. The common sites are the sacrum, femoral condyles, occiput, heel, dorsum region of the back. Next. So stages of bed sores, this is very important. Initially it is seen as a dark maroon stain. Later it turns out as a blister. The blister breaks and seen as a dark red. Initially it is mild maroon, then it becomes dark maroon, slowly it turns black. Generally patient attenders what do they காயம் வந்து பக்கு கட்டிடுச்சு, அது ஆறிடுச்சு நான் நினைச்சிட்டு இருந்தோம், அப்புறம் தான் வந்து அதுல இருந்து சீல் வடி ஆரம்பிச்சிருச்சு, the foul smelling discharge they would tell. So that is very important because a dark bed sore is a very dangerous bed sore, and after 2 to 4 weeks there will be, because the gluteal region, as you know, there is a lot of fibro fat tissue, so it spreads very soon and fast. Next. So management of bed sores, as you all know, changing the position is the golden task, and providing air mattress, providing some air at the level of the bed, and maintaining some moisture of the skin so that the integrity is maintained is very important. Next. The diaper rash, again next encounter you can come across, because using the diapers is now a very common entity, so diaper rash will come across. Next. Bed sores, in the next slide you can go, sir. So the various stages of bed sores, this is a very good healing bed sore. Next slide. After seeing this, sometimes you might also encounter few young individuals also, like with muscular dystrophy, Duchenne's dystrophy. So we might be in a position to help them also, because they are also slowly, it starts at the age of 14 to 15 years, slowly become bedbound. Usually they die less than 20 to 25 years out of aspiration and respiratory muscle weakness. So we can really help them also. Next. So I think we have come to the end. So I like to acknowledge our foundation for giving the golden opportunity. Next. So he is my teacher, Professor T.L. Anbumani. He has asked me to document everything, whatever I have done, and which has helped me in a huge way. Of course, my mentor, who started from the year 2012, turned my way around to help to know how to whatever force we have, how to direct in a very good fashion, so it will be useful for the society. Next. And she is Professor T.S. Kanaka madam, also has helped our center in various ways, and this is our center staff, and this is a place where I come from, and of course family support was huge, and because saying this all is sometimes little easy, while doing around there will be some back end problems from the family, so good family support is very, very essential. Thank you. And this next slide. And this is the place from where I come from, near Pallikarna. It's some 3 kilometers from Kilkatle, and it's a now very good season. Lot of birds have come. When you find time, you can visit our center and visit this marshland area also. Thank you.